Family Services is it's a community-based social service agency that really fills a lot of the gaps and needs for those less fortunate in our community that aren't provided by local government and so forth. So it provides a wide range of services to individuals, particularly and focused on those things that make families a tighter unit. And we know that strong families build strong children, build strong future citizens. So really their focus is on the holistic approach to the family and to the individual, and providing that service to really strengthen the community.
Associated Bank is proud of our support for Family Services. We both have been part of this community for over 100 years, and we've supported Family Services for many decades. One of the reasons we support Family Services is the impact they have on the lives of babies born in high-risk homes. Many children, right here in Brown County, are born into homes with drugs, crime, and mental illness. Family Services protects these children, giving them hope to grow and thrive in a safe environment.
She was about 19, 20 years old, had graduated from high school, was having difficulty in keeping a job. So she was underemployed, was living at home with her father who had just gotten out of prison. She agrees to home visitation services with Healthy Families, and the worker starts going into the home and develops a relationship with her, builds some trust, but is noticing during every visit when she's holding the baby, the mom is holding the baby, she holds that baby at arm's length. And in coming to learn more and talk more with mom, learned that the baby was a result of a sexual assault. The worker was able to get mom into services through Family Services and to deal with the sexual assault. Also then at the same time needed to keep working on developing that positive relationship because the baby doesn't know that the baby's a result of a sexual assault. What will happen with families who don't get that intervention, you fall back on past behavior, past patterns. If you grew up in a home that there was alcoholism or there was abuse and neglect, when you are faced with a challenge, something that becomes overwhelming for you, that's what you're going to fall back on because that's what you know, that's what's familiar.
Schneider has been a long-time contributor to Family Services, as their work with children closely aligns with our foundation's objectives. One of the issues they face is child abuse. Last year alone, there was 721 confirmed cases of child abuse in Brown County. That's 2 children severely beaten or sexually assaulted every day in our community. Family Services helps these victims overcome their trauma and begin to heal.
2 boys who were going to elementary school came to school one day, and they had been abused the night before, physically abused, made to strip and beaten. They probably weren't going to tell anyone about what happened to them because they were very afraid, of course, that they would be not believed and beaten again. One of the boys was walking funny, and one of the teachers said, what's wrong with you? And he showed her the marks on his legs. The police then called Child Protective Services, and both of them brought those 2 children to the Child Advocacy Center. Our forensic interviewer was in the midst of the interviewing of the first boy when the police officer said, I have enough right now to arrest, and got on the phone and was beginning to call another police officer to go to the home and arrest. The second boy, when he was interviewed, disclosed that the other parent had also participated in the beating, and so had an older cousin who was in the home who really was coerced by the 2 parents to also beat this boy, and he was a child himself. There are children who come to the Child Advocacy Center who have been physically abused by a parent or a step-parent. There are children who come there who have been sexually abused by a family member, children who have had their rooms used as a place to hide drugs from the police. We have children who have sexually transmitted diseases and they're 6 years old. We have children who have witnessed their mother being killed. One of the other things that we have at the Child Advocacy Center is we have a full-time prevention educator. She reached over 8,000 children last year, giving them information about abuse and about why it's important to tell. We know how hard it is for children to do that, and we want to give them the information that will help them to bring it to us so that we can help them and we can stop the abuse.
Green Bay Packaging has long supported family services and their mission in our community. We respect the great care with which they help so many, especially our youth in crisis. Every day, hundreds of local youth struggle with homelessness, despair, and thoughts of suicide. Family Services cares for these youth, giving them the strength to overcome challenges and the opportunity to find happiness in life.
The Crisis Center provides professional crisis counseling 24 hours a day, 365 days a year to anyone in Brown County. In Brown County alone, we will typically serve over 30,000 callers in crisis. We recently served a 16-year-old who had texted her friend that she had stockpiled pills and intended on taking her life. After her friend received the text message, she called her mom and told her what was going on, and her mom was very overwhelmed, upset about the situation, had heard of our services and brought her down. The Crisis Center is there to support everybody involved. The mother of this young girl certainly was in a crisis of her own. She spends day in and day out with her 16-year-old, and she had no idea that her daughter was struggling at this level. When a person has the thought, if they have access to the means and follow through on it, it can be a matter of 5 minutes from start to finish. So being available at that moment when a person's asking for help is crucial.
You can count on roughly 50 youth a night, at least, that are usually on the streets. When kids are out on the streets, they turn to drug abuse, they turn to alcohol, they self-heal, so they self-medicate. A lot of the youth that we work with have post-traumatic stress syndrome, and it can be for a variety of reasons. They have grown up in households where there's been a lot of parental abuse. We get a lot of youth that actually come to us that have been sexually abused, and so we're working with all of the background pieces of that and trying to help them put those pieces together so that they can be healthy. We also have a lot of youth that come to us that have been in the foster care system, and of course those youth oftentimes have a lot of PTSD and a lot of abandonment issues, so we're working on those as well. He was living with his parents, but he was being sexually, emotionally, and physically abused. So he was living in poverty. There was not money for food even on the table. His mother was into drugs. So when he was removed, he went into foster care. He was in roughly 8 to 10 different foster care homes and had some challenges, obviously. He struggled with school immensely. He struggled with structure and was really looking to get out of the system. Family Services has a transitional housing program that is designed to work with youth that are living on the streets, living in shelters. And what we do with them is we provide intensive case management to them to try to help them learn the skills necessary so that they can live independently and they can be a positive community member. So this particular young man had nowhere to go. He could not go back with family. He had no relatives that he could go back to, and so our program was the perfect fit for him. He developed a great case plan and some great goals for himself. He ended up working part-time and then eventually went to full-time. And by the time he left our program, he was actually a supervisor. We want to make sure that this is not a continued generational issue. So we want to work with those younger kids so that their kids have a chance to survive as well.
As you can see, Family Services is improving the lives of many, making our world and Northeast Wisconsin a better place to live. But they can't do it without our support. Without our help, more babies will be neglected, more youth will be homeless, and more children will be abused. Please join us and help our community's most vulnerable children and youth. Thank you.